Am I the idiot for telling a woman about her cheating husband, but by doing so, betraying my best friend? I, female 30, have become very close friends with two girls, Becca, female 29, and Caroline, female 30, over the past year. We hang out a lot and we call each other sisters. Their friendship is super important to me, but I worry I may have ruined it. Caroline works at a library with this guy David, 30M. They were flirting for 2 months before David confessed that he's actually married and cannot be with Caroline in any way. This, of course, made Caroline super sad, so we, Becca and I, comforted her when she told us this deep and emotional secret. Apparently, David saw Caroline was sad at work and he apologized that he was the reason for her pain and said he just wanted to see her smile again and met her at a bar to clear the air about their situation. They flirted for hours. After the bar, he told her that he can't see her again, which made her sad, and we comforted her again. Fast forward to the next workday, David noticed Caroline was sad again, so he lamented that she's such a great girl and he's such a trash guy and she deserves so much better, and offered to take her somewhere to talk about their situation. They've been repeating this cycle for a while now. She is sad. He is guilty he made her sad and he likes her attention, so he flirts with her and then takes her out. They flirt all night. Then he tells her they can't do this again, and she's heartbroken again. Rinse, lather, repeat. I and Becca will race over to Caroline's townhouse and comfort her about every 1 to 2 weeks after he's told her he can't meet up with her again, and she's despondent again. She tells us everything they did and said, and I understand that I'm privileged for her to trust us with that information because that is personal, emotional, and a secret. Now I've been cheated on and it broke my heart. I still struggle with insecurities and pain that my past partner's infidelity caused me. Caroline knows this. Unfortunately, I know that makes this personal for me and I am very biased. But every week when Caroline is crying, I can't stop thinking about David's poor wife. Caroline was able to find David's Facebook and showed us. This last time, Caroline admitted her and David's date got physical, and after comforting Caroline, I couldn't sleep. I knew Caroline and David were having an emotional affair, which is terrible, but having things get physical was too much for me. I made a dummy Facebook account, found David's FB, then found his wife's FB, and I sent her a message. It was very short, and I made it sound like I just witnessed David and some girl at a bar. I did this last night. Caroline messaged me that David has blocked her, out of respect for his wife, and she is hurt. I'm going over tonight to tell her what I did. I'm concerned I may lose a really important friendship. I recognize I broke Caroline's trust, and she would be well within her rights to stop being my friend. I also understand Becca may feel the same and also cut ties with me for what I've done. I love Caroline and Becca like a sister, but I couldn't sit and not say anything anymore. Is there anything I can do or say to help salvage these friendships? Now for a few comments before the update. There's no legitimate need to tell her what you did. She's the one who chose to continue to be involved with a married man. If she's okay with doing something like that, then she can accept the consequences when they inevitably arise. Comment 2. Don't tell her it was you. If she directly asks, then you may have to come clean. But otherwise, keep quiet. And try to make more friends. Now for the update. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who commented on my first post. I read every comment, and I really appreciated the different opinions, including the ones that I was a crappy friend. I know most people advised me against telling my friend what I did, but that felt hypocritical and cowardly to me. No shame on anyone else, it just didn't sit right with me. I couldn't tell her the truth then hide mine, you know? Before I get into it, I would like to address the comments recommending that she and I talk about how wrong this all was. Unfortunately, me and Caroline had many conversations about this situation and how it was wrong and how innocent people were being deceived. Unfortunately, her recurring response was that she knows it's wrong, but she can't even think about the wife or how bad it all is when he's around. She had it bad. We also talked about David leaving his wife, but Caroline let me know that was not on the table with David, and she did not want a serious relationship with him anyway because she knew she would not be able to trust him. We had also briefly talked about therapy, which she seemed to consider. She also had tried to get over David with another guy who was cute, kind, and respectful, but she said he was uninteresting, and talked at length about how she imagined David when she was with this new guy. In any case, the day after I messaged the wife, I went over to Caroline's house as soon as she said she was home from the library. I brought her favorite cookies and said I needed to talk to her. I gave a very brief, Think 1 minute. Preamble about how she knows how much my cheating ex hurt me and how I'm still struggling with the damage that was caused and why cheating is such a big deal to me. Then I told her what I did. She was quiet at first. She asked me if it was my place to say that, which I agreed it was not. She said she was very hurt and betrayed by my actions, which I said I understood and was more than fair. Then she lamented about poor David and how he must be struggling. This woman just learned that the wife was warned her husband is cheating and she was lied to, and Caroline's first thought was poor cheating husband. Caroline hated the fact that he blocked her because she just wanted to be there for him and to support him in this difficult time. I asked her what she would like from me and she asked me to leave, which I quickly obliged. Later, Becca and Caroline both sent me messages late into the night and early into the morning about how I betrayed Caroline's trust. Fair. I was a terrible friend to Caroline. Fair. And to Becca for ruining our friend group. Fair. They also let me know I am personally responsible if David's marriage fails, and for the end of Caroline and David's relationship. I was also informed, according to Becca and Caroline, friendship means setting aside your personal values and morals for someone you care about, and I was told that if they did things I did not agree with on a deep level, that friendship meant ignoring my values and supporting them anyway. And that, I just cannot do it. I feel absolutely terrible for hurting Caroline and by extension Becca, but I couldn't do this anymore. I don't have the space here to write how these women are not Disney villain characters. They, for a large part, are really great women. I have seen them be kind and generous. I know they have a history of working hard and enduring in the face of hardship, and I keep replaying happy memories of our Gilmore Girls marathons or our sledding trip. I don't know if I've ever had people I could laugh so hard with. But sitting here, I can't say I regret what I did or that I want those friendships back. Realizing how little hurting other people mattered to them when compared to friendship made me feel so uncomfortable. I honestly wish them happiness and healing, and I hope we all get what we need to grow and thrive. But I'm okay if we do that separately. Comment 1. All I'm getting from B and C here is that if given the chance to screw someone over, they will, and they will find a justification for their actions. Gross. You did a good thing. Even if D's wife doesn't believe you, at least you can sleep at night. And while I'm sure it's hard to lose two friends, I think in the long run your life will be easier/better without them. Comment 2. You're the idiot for not being a supportive friend to Caroline and being a self-righteous moral police instead. Friendships aren't built on betrayals, and you are very guilty of that. Caroline was struggling emotionally and you should have been there for her, not stab her in the back because you disagreed with her actions. She never asked you to be her conscience, she just wanted a friend who could listen and be there for her in a rough time. Your act of justice did nothing but add more chaos and pain into an already messy situation. David's marriage is his business, not yours. If he was cheating, it was his responsibility to confess to his wife. If Caroline was fine with the situation and understood its implications, she didn't need you to add more guilt and betrayal into her life. You're operating under the assumption that your version of morality is the rig. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for walking out of an event when my fiancé introduced me as a bookkeeper? I, 45, female, have a fiancé, 55, male, who is a retired military officer. I own a successful company I started 7 years ago, and have a small staff of 25. I worked my way through college, paying as I went. Therefore, I graduated in my early 30s with a double major in accounting and business management. I am very proud of that. For a little background, I worked hard for my degrees and have zero debt. I know it took me longer than the typical student going full-time to college after high school. I worked full-time to pay as I took classes. I went to junior college first, then finished at 4 years. I took 2 classes per semester, for a long time. But I finally made it. I have been teased by that junior college isn't the same as going 4 years at a major university. Well, I am proud to have done both and feel the education I received at junior college was excellent. I worked as an accountant for some large corporations, as well as programming and IT. I started my company doing similar support to large and small companies alike. I have a wonderful staff. I manage the contracts, kick-off meetings, sales and consulting staff. I also do some of the consulting and most of the sales/contracts. My sister is my office manager, and I am blessed in so many ways to have her. I was dating my now fiancé before I started my company, and we recently got engaged. Everything seemed to be perfect, except he kept introducing me as a bookkeeper. No disrespect intended to them or the profession. My issue is that I have worked hard to get where I am. I am an accountant, graduate with a double major, and a successful business owner. He could pick almost any other title to introduce me as, but he chooses bookkeeper. I have asked him many times in private to stop calling me a bookkeeper, as it implies to my clients and business associates that he doesn't respect me or what I have accomplished. He said he doesn't see the big deal or the difference and continues to do so. I recently pulled him aside and asked him to just introduce me as a consultant at the event we were going to. While there we were talking to a prospective client for my company, and he said, "She has come a long way as a bookkeeper." I know my face had a full blush at that, excused myself and walked away. We had both driven there, so I got in my car and went home. We both own our own townhomes. I sent him a text to let him know I was leaving and would talk to him later. He thinks I am overreacting. My family thinks he is a controlling ass that doesn't respect me or women. I'm not sure what to think now. He seems so supportive when we are together, but not when we are around other people. He tends to treat me like a subordinate, nice kid, playing with the adults. He does talk down to me in front of my family, but I always assumed he was joking badly. So, AITA for leaving and overreacting? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, he's a retired military officer? Start referring to him well below his rank and incorrectly state which branch he was in. If he kicks up a fuss, just state it's not a big deal, and you don't know why he's upset. But really, what you have accomplished is impressive, just like moving up the ranks in the military is impressive. If he can't respect that and acknowledge your hard work and success, I really think you should reconsider marrying the man. A relationship should have some amount of respect on behalf of both parties, and he's not showing you any. Comment 2. Not the idiot, he doesn't respect you. Put this wedding on hold or cancel. He is finding ways to demean you and he knows you don't like it. He sounds intimidated by you and it won't get better once married. Update. I had a conversation with him after a few days. He feels I'm lucky to have him and needs to listen to his advice more and not overreact. The attitude, along with reading everyone's replies, thanks, I have called it off with him. I need someone who is proud of me and caring. My family responded by buying champagne. Update 2. Had another conversation with my ex-fiancé. Now that I had time to get my emotions under control, he was willing to let it go. I laughed and told him I'm fine and so are my emotions. I told him about the post and that he should read the replies. Let's just say he was not happy. I did say no names were used, just me, I and he. Here is the total shocking part. He wanted to know what I was going to give him for his help with NY Company. After the shock wore off, I handed him $1 and walked away. Told the family and my brothers wanted to pay him a visit. I told them I handled it and gave him $1. We all laughed, went to the store and got more champagne. God, I love my family. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for telling my husband to press charges after his parents stole his identity and ruined his life? Welcome to Story Hub. This story has 4 updates, so buckle up because it's a crazy ride. Let me start by saying I have always had issues with my mother-in-law because she thinks I stole her baby boy. She thinks I'm one of the worst people on the planet. We recently ran a credit score for my husband and found out his credit score was at 540 because his parents had taken out 13 credit cards in his name and racked up $10,000 in credit card debt on them over the past 6 years, with the most recent being opened in August 2015. They are only making the minimum payments on them. He was able to get access to the accounts online because his mom uses the same password for everything. The accounts were being paid from their bank account. The credit cards had been used for things like gas, gifts, phone bills, hospital bills, etc. Let me start this off by saying his dad makes about $100,000 a year, but they live well above their means. We confronted his parents on the phone and they admitted that they took out the credit cards in his name. They said they didn't have enough money to pay all of the credit cards back right now, but they would start paying $800 a month on them starting in October instead of the minimum they were doing before, $26/month/card. Husband doesn't want his parents to go to jail for identity theft, but I don't feel comfortable being at their mercy regarding whether or not they pay. We are also worried that we might not have enough evidence, and that they could just say that all the credit cards were his or that he knew about them. Husband really doesn't want to take them to court, but I'm not sure what options we have. I feel like it might be important to note that his parents hate us and never want to speak to us again. So we don't really have any reason to believe that they would do what they say they're going to, except for the fact that they'd been paying for them for 6 years. I'm really just looking for advice on what different options we have, what those would entail, whether or not we would have to file criminal charges to get the money from them, etc. Edited to add, husband's parents still have his social security number memorized and even pulled up a credit report on their own in his name last night. Is there anything we can do about this? Husband suggested legally changing his name, but not sure that would work. Now for a few comments before the first update. The original poster added, husband lived with his parents when most of this activity had taken place. Does that matter since the bills were going in his name to the place where he lived? That's how she was opening the cards, because an offer would come in the mail, and she'd send it back in or open it online. Then someone responded with, the only options you have are to agree to allow your husband's parents to pay down the debt at a pace they can, or to file a police report for identity theft and sue in small claims court for the financial ramifications. You have no other options here. It will not be easy for them to get out of this. It will be fairly easy for you to show you never took these credit cards out, and they are the only ones who have used them. Now for the update. Thank you so much to everyone who responded to my post yesterday. I think it's obvious from the post that I was very distraught yesterday for a lot of reasons. Dear husband, which I'll call DH, parents took out 13 credit cards in his name and racked up $10,000, effectively ruining his credit score for the next 5 years, at least. They have done a lot of awful things to us in the past, but this really takes the cake. After we found out about what was going on, we called his parents to see what they would say, and poop hit the fan. I probably shouldn't have talked to them at all, because at that point I was fuming. But we really felt like we needed answers to what was going on. I will admit that I yelled at them and said some very not nice, a bit of an understatement, things on the phone. We started the conversation talking about the debt, and we barely said 3 sentences about it before they turned the whole thing around. The conversation went on for 30 minutes, halfway through which DH had a panic attack, and only about 2 minutes actually consisted of them talking about the fact that they had racked up all that debt and stolen his identity. I will add some highlights of the conversation. The money is not the issue, the real issue is your wife, me. Ever since you married Batman, no one wants to be around you. If she was a good wife, she would want you to be around your family. She is a bad wife because she is filling your head with lies about us. At this point I mentioned the abuser language they were using. What? You're making that up. Where did you get that from? You are crazy. You will not be able to go to your grandparents' funeral because of your wife. His grandparents are in great health, by the way. Your mother has done nothing but love you, and she gets treated this way. They went on and on for 30 minutes, during which I'll admit that I yelled at them quite a bit and lost my temper, mostly because I was mad that all they were doing was talking about me and not the fact that they stole his identity. I ended the conversation by saying, we just need to know a few things. 1. Did you take out the credit cards? Yes. 2. Are you going to pay them back? Yes. 3. How are you going to do that? My car gets paid off in October, so I'll pay $800 a month starting then. DH really doesn't want to press charges against them, but I have no reason to believe that they will pay the money back, except for the fact that they said they would. I post on legal advice, and they said that pretty much the only way to save DH's credit is to file for identity theft. But DH doesn't want his parents to go to jail, and once you file identity theft, that is up to the government. One big thing that I am worried about is that last night they pulled up a credit report for DH on their own, meaning they have all of the access to all of his financial information at their fingertips and are willing to use it. Like I said, DH is pretty adamant about not filing charges, but I don't know how else we can protect ourselves from them doing this again or tracking our financial whereabouts for the rest of our lives. I'm sure some of you have dealt with in-laws knowing a social security number. What did you do about it, or how did it affect you? Unfortunately, we can't just make them unknow his social security number. This whole thing just feels like I'm living in a nightmare. Edited to add, thank you so much to everyone who responded. DH and I are filing a police report for identity theft. I think the things some of you said really got through to him. We are filing the police report when he gets off work, then going to the bank to change accounts to one she does not know. This was the account he got when he was a minor and just kept it open, and getting him a new phone number. We are going 100% no contact with them and letting the police deal with it now. I am hoping that DH stays true to his word and has faith that he will. At this point, I am terrified that they are going to do something to us after they found out we have gone to the police. I feel like I don't know what they are capable of anymore. I really am just scared. Now, for a few comments before the second update. I'm glad you're going that route. Apart from the moral aspect, since, for one, I assume they've defaulted, you've saved yourselves from numerous other potential issues. It's like insurance fraud. Once you start to go along with it, you dig yourself a huge hole. Comment 2. I work for a bank. File a police report. Put a fraud alert on his credit report. I can't remember the exact term, but there is something you can do so that he is notified anytime someone applies for credit in his name. A friend in college had an ex who constantly applied for credit cards in her name, and that's what she did. Now for the update. I am going to be completely honest with you all. I am really starting to wonder if we are doing the right thing. We went to the police station last night and filed a police report. It was honestly just awful. The police officer kept trying to talk us out of it and saying that if we did it, his mother would be going to prison. This isn't a direct quote, but he said something like, "This isn't just a tool to get this stuff off of your record. This will put criminal charges against her." Husband and I kind of just looked at each other, but in the end he went through with the police report. I have felt nothing but sick since we found out about all of this. Now I'm starting to feel like we shouldn't have gone through with the police report. His parents are texting him saying that they have the money, and that they are going to pay back all of the accounts now, and that if we go through with the charges they are going to go to prison and lose their jobs. I don't even know if we could retract the police report if we wanted to. I know that this identity theft case is going to be a horrible stressor to our lives and connect us to his parents even longer. I am sure that they are going to try to say that DH knew about the accounts, and that he gave them permission, and I'm starting to worry that people will listen to them. We called the credit card companies to report the fraud, and they told us the charges, and a lot of them were things that were gifts to DH along with bills and other things. I am worried that because DH benefited from the fraud because his parents bought things for him with it, that they will use that in court against us and say that DH knew and gave them permission. One of the charges was for tires for DH's car that they gifted to him. He dropped the car off at the dealer and picked it up. His mom went in to pay, but he was the one who dropped it off. I am just so worried that they are going to lie to turn this against DH, and that someone will believe them. We really don't have much proof except what is on the cards, and that they were the ones making the payments. We live in a state where we can't record phone conversations, so we can't try to get them to admit it. I am starting to regret all of this. I wish we could just go back to Saturday when we had no idea about any of this, and we were happy. I am feeling so miserable and depressed and cannot get out of this funk. We absolutely cannot afford to go to therapy right now in case DH gets put on the hook for all of these charges, but I don't know what to do to make either of us feel better. Now for a few comments before the third update. Self-righteous assholes with badges used to do this poop to victims of domestic violence. You don't call the police on your mother. You obey and take your licks like a man. He shouldn't be hitting you, ma'am, but I think you need to focus on what you can do in the future to de-escalate the situation. Try to quiet down when he gets upset. Are you sure you weren't indicating to him that you wanted to have sex? And so on. Frick him, and frick your shitty in-laws. They robbed their own son because they're selfish assholes. You reported a crime, which you have a social duty to do. You owe it to me and everyone else that banks in this country report criminals who steal from banks. You owe it to yourselves to see these fraudulent debts excused. Frick this cop for projecting his issues with mommy and daddy on your legitimate criminal complaint. Consider reporting him to his supervisor. Cops back each other up all the time, but someone might speak to him when you point out that he attempted to convince victims of a crime from reporting financial fraud. Comment 2. As hard as I know this is, I suggest you take 2 steps of separation. First, imagine what you would do if strangers did this to you. Based on what you have written, there would be zero guilt involved in filing the police report, alerting the credit agencies, etc. Second, imagine what would happen if your in-laws did the same thing, but had stolen someone else's identity, someone you don't know. Think about what steps they would take, but also what you would do to make it up to them. Separate yourselves from the family connection, and then act. Now for the update. If you check my post history, you will see that I had a serious issue with my mother-in-law and her stealing my husband's identity about 8 months ago. A lot has happened since then, and I felt like those of you that helped me out deserved an update. Since then, we did a lot of fighting with mother-in-law and father-in-law, most of which I don't remember. We decided against filing charges, and instead hired a lawyer. The lawyer wrote up some lawyer stuff I don't understand, which basically stated that they had until March 2017 to pay off the debt, plus the fees for our lawyer. They agreed to it without any contest, probably because they didn't want to go to jail and thought they could still salvage a relationship with their son. Since then, they have paid back all of the money, most of it with large sums of money, which makes me wonder why they needed the cars in the first place, and my husband's credit has increased quite a bit. My husband made the decision that he no longer wanted a relationship with his parents, which I supported him wholeheartedly. Our decision was to never see or speak to his family again, but when my husband's niece died, their granddaughter, we felt as though we should at least go to the funeral. We saw them then, where they acted like nothing happened and that everything was okay. We let them have their moment due to the tragedy of the loss the family was suffering. They have invited us to various holidays since then, but we have not responded. We haven't seen them since the funeral, and don't plan on seeing them again. I'm not sure what husband would decide to do in the event of another funeral, but we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Comment 1. You know what? That they had the money makes it 10 times worse. They fricked you over without any need, since obviously they did not need the money. They might have done much worse if you had not caught on. They were claiming to buy you presents, when really you guys were paying for all of it, demanding you to be grateful for your own generosity, etc., etc., etc. Be glad you are rid of them. One more thing, I am 99% sure this was about control. If they wrecked your credit enough, you could not get a car loan, a credit for a house, a credit to put the kids through college, nothing you would need. And to whom would you then need to come to borrow money? Which the parents could have used to put an awful lot of control over you and your future. Even if they admitted they wrecked the credit, they could say no to give you credit, till you come groveling and do their bidding. And if it is about something as important as putting the kids through college, or a car without which you could not go to work, you would not have any other choice. Comment 2. Sometimes it's really great to get an update like this because it reminds us that the support people receive here can change lives, and you've certainly made some great changes in yours. For the better. So sorry to hear about your husband's niece, but I'm glad you've managed to find a way to some peace in your lives. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for not letting my sister walk down the aisle at my wedding? I, female 29, am getting married to the love of my life, male 30, in a few months. We were high school lovers and childhood friends. He's truly my best friend and everything I want in life. However, we both decided to wait until we were well off to be married, so we could have our once-in-a-lifetime magical moment. My sister, Stacy, female 21, got married at 19 to someone who I like, but I'm not super close with. They were together for 5 months before he proposed. Their wedding was rushed, and half our family couldn't even make it because of how soon it was planned and set up. It was small, and just in a courtroom. No dress, party, etc., just a legal wedding. However, my wedding is around $19,000, and we haven't even finished everything. It took us ages to set everything up and save. Stacy recently came up to me while coming over, we're close, and have dinner once a week at my place, and asked if she could walk down my aisle and meet her husband, so she could feel like a bride. I laughed and asked if she was serious, and she was. She claims she never got her magic moment, and just wants to feel special once. But, it's my wedding and my special day, she had hers. Stacy claims it will only be between us, and it won't take away from me. But then I asked what she might wear and she showed me pictures on her phone of wedding dresses. Hard no for me. She then asked again yesterday in front of my fiancé, and I think it was an attempt to pressure me. He laughed and said no, thinking it was a joke, like I did the first time. My mother and Stacy's husband say I'm being an idiot because Stacy still isn't rich, so she can't afford another wedding even if she wanted one, but neither are I and my future husband. We just planned for years. I just wanted one day for myself, but maybe I'm blowing it up because she never got the bridal experience. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. There is no conceivable universe where her walking down the aisle on your wedding day, at the location of your wedding, wearing a wedding dress will be just between the two of you, and not detract from your day. It's rude of her to even ask. Comment 2. I see stuff like this on this sub, and I am shocked that people have the audacity to even ask stuff like this. It doesn't matter if she's your sister and her moment wasn't what she had hoped for. If you allow this, then your moment will be different than you imagined it to be too. Your sister and her husband made their choices. They could have waited, but they didn't. Then the original poster responded with, I asked her when she accepted his proposal if she was sure it was a good idea, since it seemed really rushed. But her response was that since my BF proposed a few weeks earlier, she wanted to get hers over with and tie the knot, so that I would be able to have my wedding in the fall, like I always dreamed, and hers wouldn't overlap. Now for the update. The day after I made the post, me, my fiancée, Stacy, and her husband met up for brunch. I told her she needed to hear me out fully before she spoke, and thankfully she did. In short, I told her as much as I love her, I've waited years for this day, and it was mine. She had hers, and if she truly wanted, she could have used the money I gifted her to get her own wedding. Her husband cut me off and said that they needed the money for rent, but she didn't let him talk. I showed her the Reddit post, and she started crying, and asked her husband and my fiancé to step out for a few minutes. They both did, and she told me her husband and our mom had been the ones pressuring her, since she had admittedly been jealous, and told them both she wished she could have a larger scale wedding. She said she had been over the whole thing, until her husband started saying it wasn't fair because he was jealous he couldn't provide for her, and eventually complained enough she asked to walk down the aisle for him. Stacy said she was willing to fully back out of the wedding, and would understand given the heartache she's given me, but I told her that her husband would be the one without an invite, which she gratefully agreed to. We talked more in depth on why she was jealous, and she said she regretted being married so early just so our father could be at her wedding. After a few more minutes and both of us crying and forgiving one another, I told her she could always tell me anything, even if it was between her and her husband. When my fiancée and her husband came back in, I told Stacy's husband he was uninvited, right then and there, and he seemed to understand why immediately, though he did groan about it, and called me multiple times, but I blocked him. Again, over the past few days, our mother has called to apologize, and me and Stacy have been talking much more openly and honestly to one another. I decided to let her wear a dark silver or pale gold dress to match my theme, and walk with me down the aisle, as my father sadly can't. She told me I didn't need to, but I insisted. We ended up finding a dress we both love, and I got it as a gift for her. Thank you all for the support and kind words. Comment 1. Your brother-in-law is a piece of work. He feels jealous because he can't provide for her, but he's comfortable forcing others to provide. And not even necessities, but luxuries. What an entitled age. OP, stay close to your sister. She has already given you signs that she's not happy in her marriage and may need your support to get out of it. Then the original poster responded with, yes, I'll be keeping him close enough to keep an eye on him, but not too close. He's not a horrible guy, just very bad with money and hot-tempered. I hoped with age he would mellow out, but I'm not sure. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Unbelievable. What kind of monster are you? Your poor sister, Stacy, is just asking for a small slice of the happiness that you've been carefully planning for yourself, and you shove it in her face? She got married at a young age, without any pomp and grandeur, and she's feeling left out now, and rightfully so. You say you both aren't rich, but you're investing $19,000 in your wedding. Clearly, you have a skewed idea of what not rich means. And honestly, how dare you deny her a chance to experience the grandeur of a wedding that she never got to have? As if the shame of having a rushed wedding wasn't enough, you're rubbing her face in it by planning your grand event and then denying her the tiniest moment of feeling special. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not going to my sister's wedding? Some background. I met the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. We became friends because of our shared hobbies, and somehow I got lucky enough that we started dating 6 months ago. About a week into dating, she told me that she was trans, male to female. I accepted this and had no problem with dating her. She was happy, and as I've said, me and female 17 have been dating for 6 months. She has met my family multiple times, and about a month ago she told them she was trans as well. Everyone accepted, or if they didn't, they kept their mouths shut. Everyone except one. My sister, female 24, got huffy and started to ignore my GF. She asked me later how I expected to have kids one day if I was dating a fake woman. I told her to shut up and I don't want kids anyway. She got quiet, and that was that. My sister's wedding is in 3 months, and she sent out invites to RSVP a few days ago. Everyone is allowed to bring a +1. I choose my GF and send in the RSVP. Today she came by, and while hanging out with my parents she told me my GF couldn't come. When I asked why, she said, and I quote, "I don't want the delusional boy at my wedding." At first I wondered why she thought I was delusional, and then I realized she was talking about my GF. I told her to take that back, and she said she's only speaking the truth. I called her a transphobe and said that either me and my GF go or I don't go at all. She said she's not letting that creep into my wedding, so I said to not expect me there either. She laughed like she thought I wouldn't follow through with it. But I withdrew my RSVP and threw her wedding gift in the trash. Now she's pissed and is getting everyone else involved. My parents are staying neutral. My sister's fiancé is actually on my side, love that guy, along with my uncle. My aunt and cousins are on my sister's side, and some are pressuring me to go because it's my sister's big day. Others want me to just keep the peace, and my aunt was just as transphobic as my sister. My GF said I don't have to destroy my relationship with my sister over her, but I told her that if my sister was like this then it would have ended someday anyway, so it might as well be now. But I'm wondering, am I the idiot for splitting the family up between supporting me and supporting my sister now? For a few comments before the update. Not the idiot even if your GF wasn't in the picture, it's your sister's wedding. She has every right to say who is invited and who isn't. However, I think your sister forgot that you have every right not to attend. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Maybe one day you'll feel a twinge of regret for not going because your relationship with your sister grew and evolved. But you'll never regret standing by your values and principles, and that is what you're doing here. It's less about your GF not being invited and more about the transphobia and disrespect your sister is showing another human being. Now for the update. So it's been about a month since I posted, and it's been a fun one. So my sister received a couple of ultimatums. The first was from her fiancé, who told her that if she didn't apologize for how she acted and what she said, that he would call off the wedding. She half-asked it, but I accepted it because she's annoying enough already. In my previous post, people believed my parents were transphobic for not taking a side, but they aren't. They have been nothing but kind to my GF. Me and my sister are their only kids and they want grandkids. I never want kids, and I've made this clear. My sister wants a big family, and my parents have reasoned that I'd throw a kid out for being gay and or trans so that they could take them in if that ever happened. My parents asked me if they would be okay with them going to her wedding. I gave them my blessing, which felt weird ASFNGL, and they gave my sister an ultimatum. Either she invites me or they don't go. She relented and re-invited me, but not my GF, so I'm still not going, but my parents will. I'm fine with this compromise. My parents have set aside some money and told me to take my GF on a nice date that night, so my plan is to take her to dinner, and then we get to see a movie opening night. My sister's wedding fell on the same day as the movie, so it all worked out, I guess. Me and my GF are still together. She's currently wrecking people in Smash with me while I type this. All in all, life is good. After her apologies, I have gone no contact with my sister. I unfortunately haven't been in contact with her fiancé, which sucks because I've known him since I was little, but I have a feeling he understands. Anyway, that's the update. Have a damn good one, guys. Comment 1. The idea that your parents are ready to take in a grandkid if your sister kicks them out is kinda terrifying, in the sense that they know this is a possibility. Your sister sounds like the worst, and I really hope things work out for you and your GF. Comment 2. Good for you. I don't really understand why people care what is in someone else's pants. Regardless, weddings in my experience are a waking nightmare, so this might turn out to be a backhanded favor. Now, for the next story. Would I be the idiot if I go on vacation instead of my brother's wedding? My brother Tom, male 36, and I, female 26, have never had a really solid relationship. Due to our age gap, we didn't spend much time, and by the time I was old enough to develop a personality, he was moved out of the house. For the last 2 years, my brother and his fiancée Sarah, female 32, have been planning their wedding, and it's coming up in September. I was asked to be a bridesmaid. I figured I was only asked as a courtesy since I'm her soon-to-be sister-in-law, but I still took it seriously. I have been a bridesmaid for the last 2 years. Just a few weeks ago, I managed to save up to buy the $800 bridesmaid dress. Overall, in the last 2 years, between group outings to parties, dinners, lunches, clothes, etc., I spent thousands of dollars. Eventually, all the girls in the wedding and I became extremely close, and I started to get hyped for the wedding. Sarah recently got close with her brother's wife, Becky, 30F. Last week, she dropped the ball on me that she no longer wants me to be a bridesmaid, and she would prefer if Becky would take my place. It broke my heart a little, but it's her wedding and it's not my place to tell her how to run it, so I said it was fine. Yesterday I went to my brother's house to pick up the bridesmaid's dress, and was going to see if I could return it since it was within the time frame. Sarah was completely appalled and said that Becky was going to wear it since she and I are the same size. I said that would be fine, but they would have to pay me the $800 for it. Sarah said that Becky couldn't afford it, and I should just be nice and let her use it, and said that I could keep it after the wedding. I explained that I'm not just giving away the dress, and I'm not ever going to use it after the wedding. After some bickering back and forth, I just ended up taking it and leaving. My brother and Sarah tried to compromise with me and say I could be the assistant flower girl, and I felt offended at the offer. After I said no, they then said that Becky could give me $250 for it. Again no, and I returned the dress and got a full refund. I told them I understand that it's their wedding, but they are being extremely disrespectful to me and I don't need to deal with it, and I'm not going to the wedding. Today my coworker says she has an extra round-trip plane ticket to go to Miami that she'll sell to me for half price, plus I would have to pay for half the hotel and I can go hang out with her in Florida. The only downside is that I'll be in Florida for the week of my brother's wedding. So will I be an idiot if I just go to a party in Miami instead of going to my brother's wedding? There's no update, so here's a few comments. Not the idiot. Go to Miami. A wedding is not an event where a soon-to-be sister-in-law and your own brother crap all over you and you smile and take it. Comment 2. Not the idiot, they disrespected you so you don't have to be there if you don't want to. They literally removed you as a bridesmaid after they had you spend so much money. I'm proud of you for returning the dress instead of letting them walk all over you and take it for free. You might not be able to ever be close with this brother if he finds out you chose partying in Miami over his wedding. Also may affect what parents/other family think of you. But not sure if any of that is relevant. Comment 3. Not the idiot. They treated you with such disrespect that even if you didn't have a better offer, not going to the wedding is still the right choice. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.